folks, Chris Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com, thechrisvossshow.com. Coming with blog posts we want to share with you. Of course, we review the latest in social media technology. Be sure to check out our website, thechrisvossshow.com, to be able to see all the cool and relevant latest toys, gadgets, and all that good stuff. Also, be sure to check into our contest that we're currently running. We always seem to be running a contest. We're giving away a Virgin Hotspot, Overdrive Pro 3G, 4G mobile hotspot from Virgin Mobile. So we'll be giving one of these nice bad boys away to one lucky winner. Be sure to join at thechrisvossshow.com if you're watching this video in the next 30 days. If not, go there. We usually have a contest. We're giving something away almost monthly these days. So anyway, let's get into this. What we're comparing today is the Virgin Mobile HTC Evo V and the Samsung Galaxy S3. These two phones have come out within a few months of each other. The HTC Evo V here runs on the Virgin Mobile network. It does say Sprint on it. For most people that don't know, Sprint owns Virgin Mobile, and the Virgin Mobile devices run on Sprint's network. The Samsung is brought to us by AT&T, and so we'd like to thank both our partners, AT&T and Virgin Mobile, for sharing these phones with us so that we can bring you this interesting review. In comparison with the two phones, let's take a look at the HTC and what it's got inside of it. The HTC has got, they both run on actually 4.0 ice cream sandwich. The HTC has got HTC's Sense 3.6 user interface. It's got 1 gigabyte of RAM, 4 gigabytes of onboard memory, 5 megapixel and 1.3 megapixel dual cameras on the back, and then the 1.3 megapixels on the front, I should say. And it's a 1730 milliamp battery and a micro SD slot that's in the back of it. There's the screen, which is a 4.3 QHD with 960 by 540 pixels resolution, and the processor is a 1.2 gigahertz Qualcomm Snapdragon. So very cool that way. Let's take a look at the Samsung and see if we can't see the difference between these two great phones. Let's take a look. Looks like with the Samsung, if I recall rightly, it's a 1.4 gigahertz processor that's in this. It's an 8 megapixel camera on the rear facing area. Has a 4 times digital zoom to that, which is pretty cool. 1.9 forward facing, front facing camera. It has, let's see, what else do we have here? It looks like it has 2100 milliamp battery, so quite a bit more. Runs 1280 by 720 HD Super AMOLED screen with 16 million colors. Has Corning Gorilla Glass, I believe it's Corning Gorilla Glass 2. Has up to 16 gigabytes of internal memory, up to, and expandable. You can expand up to 64 gigabytes with the micro SD card. Has 2 gigs minimum RAM with it, so it's very fast. It's designed. They're both designed for 4G LTE speeds, so you're going to be able to get that with them. Let's take a look at each phone separately so that you can see what these phones look like close up. Now, what we're dealing with the Galaxy is it's got a home button right here where you can do all of your homework, if you will. There's a back button that lights up and a menu button, which are sensor based, and they turn on and off for touch. Hopefully that helps with the battery life somewhat. It's got a huge giant screen, of course, on it with a front-facing camera you can see there, and very thin, very, very thin. In fact, why don't we hold the two of them up so we can compare the size of them together. You can see the HTC is much thicker, and of course the screen is a little bit smaller in the size of screen, of course. Let's take a look down the side. Now there is the rocker button, the volume up and down. We also have a earphone area, and then we have the also what appears to be a microphone area, hole, if you will. There's also the flash, the camera lens, and the speaker, which is on the back. And then on the bottom we have what appears to be a hole for microphone hole, or maybe it's an air hole, who knows. And then there's also a plug area to take and charge the device. On the right hand side we just have a power button. I really like the setup of the phone and how thin it is. One thing I've been wanting to do, because it's so thin, is I want to throw it like a frisbee, and I find myself holding it like this sometimes. It really is nice and light and very thin, which makes it really a fun phone to take and have. You can open it from the back, which gives you, let's see if we can do this. It's got a plastic back to it, and you have your SIM card access here and your micro SD card access that you can put in here. Of course, you can remove the battery, which makes it nice if you want to carry extra batteries with you for when you run out. It seems to have the battery life that most Androids do, and which is about a good day's run if you're using your phone a lot. I like the phone. I'm pretty happy with it for the few days that I've had it new here from AT&T, and it's a pretty nice phone otherwise. One thing I do like about the phone too is it's got the rocker button with the volume levels up and down. I like having this on the left-hand side because it's more natural to me. To me, I'm going to control the phone like this. In phones where I've had the rocker buttons on the right-hand side for the volume, as I'm playing with the phone and stuff, I tend to press the buttons. One thing I do like is this area here is kind of recessed from the end, unlike most Android phones where if I'm playing games and I accidentally touch it or I'm holding it, I'll kick myself out of the game. So the nice thing is this is a little recessed. Since there's only 3 menu options here, there's the menu, the home button, and the back button instead of 4, and everything's crammed into the real estate. I like that a little bit better about the phone. I also like the power button being on the side. It makes it so I don't have to use 2 hands to take and hold the device and hit a power button, which is normally on the top for a lot of Android phones. So I like the power button there. One thing I don't like about the phone is the speaker being in the back. It's kind of irritating that it's back there. And I don't also like the flat camera that's on the back. It's good. It's a good camera. It takes good pictures. We'll talk about that here in a second. But when you're laying it flat, it's just bound to scratch up this camera lens. And that's one thing that I really am concerned about, scratching the camera lens and then making it pretty much worthless for me at that point. I fight when I make calls with speakerphone to hear the person, and I find I constantly have to set the phone up so that I can have the sound bounce outward to me, or sometimes I'll just have the phone facing to me. So those are some of the limits that I've found with the phone that they're not deal killers for me, but they're some of the things that kind of frustrate me in the design of the phone. Let's take a look at the HTC Evo 4. You can see here it's a lot more compactor and it feels a lot more natural to the hand at being a smaller phone. I don't feel like I'm holding a giant phone. I actually like this phone. It's got a really good weight to it. It feels really comfortable in holding it in my hand for some reason. I don't know why. It just has a really good solid weight. It is partially plastic, much like the Samsung, but for some reason it just feels like a much more solid phone. So that's one aspect that I like of it. On the bottom, we have an area where you can clip in a nail to pull off the back so that you can use the SD card. Let's take a look at the side. On the side, we've got your plug-in for charging. On the top, we've got an earphone area and the power button. Not my favorite place for a power button, but it works. We've got a volume rocker. I do like the volume rocker on this. Some of the HTC products, they have giant volume rockers that are very sensitive, and it messes up my games. It messes up while I'm using the phone. It's really irritating. So the nice thing about the Evo HTC V 4G is this volume rocker isn't that sensitive, and it does the work, but you're not constantly pressing it and isn't running half the length of the phone. One thing I do find that's interesting is it's got the 2D and 3D switch here, where you can switch between camera modes of taking 2D photographs and 3D photographs. And there's also a camera button. On the back, you've got your 3D camera. One of the cool aspects of this phone that I've really enjoyed is the 3D camera. It's been really fun to play with this thing. It's kind of opened a new dimension for me in 3D. It's got, of course, 2 flashes and 2 lenses to do 3D. If you want to switch to 2D, you can do that also. Let's take and show you what we need to do to pull off the back. And pulling off the back, that will give you access to your SIM card, which is underneath the battery, and also an SD card that you can slide in here. So that makes it pretty easy to take and upgrade the memory in your phone. Let's take a look, see if we're on here. There we go. All right, so in comparing the two phones, they're both relatively fast. I really like the HTC phone, and I actually found it faster than some of the HTC phones that I've had coming out. I don't know if it's because it has a little bit more RAM in it than other phones or what it is, but I really am impressed with the way it runs, and I really found myself liking the speed on the phone. Let's take a look. We're going to pull up Facebook because Facebook is usually a buggery app that drags and gives a lot of challenge to phones. Let's see how they pull up. And we've, of course, restarted both these from a dead start so that they can get the load. You can see here the Samsung's going to load a little bit quicker. And that's going to be a given, of course, given its size of speed of processor and stuff. But we want to give you a comparison so you can see both these and just kind of how they work in action. You can actually see the Google Play load a little bit faster there with the Samsung. Pretty interesting. And of course, these results may vary depending upon your mileage. How about if we say that? The one thing that's really cool in the difference of these phones, well, let's take a look at one other thing that I want to take and do. Some I swipe, some I push up. I've got about 5 different Android phones, so each one is different in how they operate. It gets a little crazy sometimes. So you can see here that it's the Galaxy is much faster, but not by much, by a few seconds maybe. And given the details of the plan we'll talk about at the end, that may make a difference for you. But I got to tell you, I have been impressed with having the HTC Evo V run against the HTC One X and other phones that have come out recently from HTC. I've actually liked the speed on this a little bit better. I don't know why. It just impresses me as a much faster phone. So, given that, and I also like it just the way it holds. I don't know why. It just comes across to me as very much faster. Now, of course, it runs on the Sprint network, where over here you have the AT&T 4G network. It's pretty much a given knowledge that your AT&T 4G LTE network is going to run much faster on downloads and uploads than Sprint. I think that's been proven time and time again. But there's a difference in price range that you're going to get with both these two companies and services that we'll get in as we round out at the end. Now, with the camera, let's get into that. With the camera, the Samsung takes beautiful 8 megabyte pixel photos, just gorgeous. They almost rival what you can get with the iPhone. There's some sort of delays that we keep getting. We're not sure why, or if it's a software issue when we're moving from the camera to the album, and it's usually an initial delay. We also notice that the video player goes dark on us when we're playing videos. And we're sure that's something they can resolve with their issues on probably a software update or something. It's probably something as simple as that. But the camera on the HTC we've liked. It's been very cool, but it's a different type of camera in what we've been playing with it. One of the things that you get with the HTC 3G is you get a screen that actually plays in 3D. Now, you may not be able to perceive this given what you're seeing on the screen, and we're going through another thing, but they've actually made a screen with the Evo V 4G that what you can do is you can record 3D video using the switches and everything else, and you can take and see the 3D video on the screen without having to use glasses. People have been going crazy. Everyone I show this to, they love it. They're like, wow, that's really 3D. And I'm sure you probably can't test much of that here. Now, as you probably know, you can easily upload these videos, these 3D videos, to YouTube. And you can go in and enable the 3D portion to be able to play in 3D. This actually got me into 3D so much with this phone and having fun making videos that were 3D. I actually went and bought some 3D glasses that we ordered in, and I've actually been watching more video on my big screen TV with YouTube's 3G things. So I've been having a lot more fun with it, and it's really gotten me into 3D. What is also fun, I got to tell you, you saw some cute videos of my dogs and stuff there. It's been fun to send the YouTube links from the videos I've made using the HTC Evo 4V or Evo 5V. I'm saying 5V, aren't I? The Evo V to use. I send them the links from the YouTube, and on it, my brother's kids can sit and watch the movies with their 3G glasses, and they just have a ball with them. So for sharing, having fun, and using the 3G experience, or the 3D experience, I should say. I'm probably saying 3G this whole time. But for using the 3D experience, it's pretty freaking amazing. My apologies if I keep saying something else. It happens. So, Anyway, I love the phone for this reason, and it's fun because you can switch back to 2D anytime you want. You're only going to get a 5 megapixel experience, but I got to tell you, this became like a phone that was favorite out of all 5 of my Android phones for taking pictures because of the 3D thing. I mean, I know it sounds silly, but I really, really liked it. It's been a lot of fun to play with and come up with ideas on what you can do with 3D, because with 3D you can do so many things. You focus on dimensions. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so in taking a look at the Samsung, you're going to get great pictures, you're going to get great video from it. It does have some very, very, very incredible video when it plays. Let's see if we can't get some of that video come out. Both have adjustable cameras where you can adjust the ISO and everything else in the settings where you can have different things. This is what we're talking about, where for some reason we can't figure out how to get the brightness off, or the brightness to correct itself when the video is playing. We're not sure if this is our phone that we've been given or whatnot. I've had a few people write in comments that we're doing something different. We need to change the settings. We've changed the settings the way they've said to send them, and we're still having that experience. It is a brand new phone, probably a software update that will come out and fix it. I don't see it as a huge problem that's going to, for a reason not to buy the phone. I'm sure it's easily fixable. So, given the 2 different products, you've got this one with Virgin Mobile, you've got this one with AT&T. The one thing to keep in mind, we've been really surprised at how popular the HTC Evo V has been with Virgin Mobile, and in its response on our blogs at chrisvossshow.com. One of the things you have with these phones, and this comes into play because you do have to compare these 2 phones. That's what we're doing here. With this phone, you can buy it for $300. You own it outright from Virgin Mobile. You pay up to $35 a month, and that will give you unlimited text, unlimited data, unlimited calling, all that good stuff. The beautiful part about that is under my current plan that I have with my current mobile carrier, that would save me almost $1,200 a year. $1,200 a year, and considering I signed a 2-year contract, that's $2,400. Now, of course, as you may know, with Virgin Mobile, you don't sign a contract. You're free to go and come anytime you want. If you want to go to another carrier, if you want to go to another phone, whatever the case may be. If you're saving $2,400 a year, you can afford to buy 3 or 4 of these. So keep that in mind. That's definitely an aspect in comparing these 2 phones. The Samsung with AT&T is great service. AT&T 4G LTE, you're looking at a much faster speed on downloads and uploads. Both have great service when it comes to phone calling and all that good stuff. So we've never really noticed a difference with the phone calling thing. It's really going to be up to you on to which phones you want to have. If you want to buy the Samsung outright, I believe you're going to spend anywhere from $600 to $800, depending upon who you buy it from. If you buy it outside of a contract and try to do what you can do with the Virgin Mobile phone, but if you do buy it from AT&T, I believe they have it now at this current time for $200 for a 2-year contract. So for $100 more, you can buy the HTC, own the HTC, pay $35 a month. Probably save about $2,400 a year, roughly. I'm just giving you estimates. Or you can buy the Samsung from. So all in all, we like both phones very much. They definitely have some different strengths to them when it comes to pricing. And of course, you've got the Samsung. It's got a much bigger screen to it. We've got both brightnesses on both these screens turned up all the way so you can see how they look and how they interact. Obviously, gaming's better, watching movies on the Samsung, everything else. I got to tell you, the one thing I really like about this HTC phone is the 3D camera on the back. It's a lot of fun. And we even bought some 3D glasses off of Amazon. You can get these for like $2 or $3, super cheap off of Amazon, and it was fun. And of course, you can show the videos on the HTC with your friends. So we had a lot of fun with that. So it's up to you to choose what you want to decide and what price points are good for you and why you would want both phones. But we really like both phones very much. I would say, and of course, the Galaxy would probably edge out the HTC Evo V because of the size of quality and all the latest and fastest grooving technology that's inside of it. Of course, we really like the bigger screens and all that good stuff, but it's a close second. I really like the HTC Evo V. I got to tell you, I love that little camera, and there's something about just the heft of the phone and the quality of the phone. This is a great phone to have if you like the Virgin Mobile service. In fact, if you have the Virgin Mobile service, go ahead and get this phone. So be sure to check into the chrisvossshow.com often. Check out the latest stuff we have there. Check out our sweepstakes we'll be giving away with the Virgin Mobile 4G to one lucky winner. hotspot. And be sure to check back often into some other phone comparisons. Thanks for coming by.